Welcome back to our series of podcasts on artificial intelligence and criminal justice. We kick off now the second episode, Artificial Intelligence and Defense Rights. I'm Laviero Buono and I'm the head of section for European criminal law at ERA, and today I will be interviewing Miriam Steinfeld, attorney at law, partner at Rosinus in Frankfurt. The format remains the same, 3-3-3. I will ask Miriam 3 questions. She will answer each in 3 minutes. Hi Miriam, thank you very much for joining us today. At ERA, we have been following defense rights in the EU since the launch of the roadmap in early 2000. Since then, many steps have been taken, and like all professions, lawyers in private practice are now affected by artificial intelligence. Here's my first question to you. What is so different about AI in criminal justice? I mean, law enforcement has been using computer programs to do analysis for ages now. What is the key challenge today for the defense when it comes to artificial intelligence?
Hi Laviero, thank you for having me, and quite a good question to start with. So yeah, of course, law enforcement has always been using computer programs, or not always, but by now I guess we can say that, for the last 30 years or so, to tackle specific questions, do specific analyses, and we are used to that, absolutely. And that is not an issue anymore for the defense, because those analyses are following very strict standard operating procedures. So if you take, for example, DNA analysis, we have very clear rules how the DNA samples have to be gathered, how they have to be analyzed, how we can have other expert witness then taking a look at it to check and see if really everything was done correctly. And this is really where it differs to what we have now with AI, is that on the one hand, we do not have those standard operating procedures yet. So it's not really clear when and where AI is being implemented. And I mean, that can happen in a very innocent way. One could say by using a language model to just write an email, or maybe even just write a summary in a police report, but also it can be used to interpret a case file or interpret business structures. So here we really have a vast array of applications that need to be regulated, in my opinion, so that we do have a standard operating procedure, so that for us as defense attorneys, we actually stand a chance to see, was it done in good faith? Was it done according to the rules? Is there anything where we should, put a stop to it? And this is really where we're growing into it. I think Gabriele has mentioned it in his talk on the AI Act, that certain applications of AI need to have a specific assessment, and also need to make sure that all the rights are being safeguarded, and also need to inform the users on AI being used. And criminal law, or the criminal law enforcement, is part of that. So we do already have certain guidelines, but again, it is a very new field, and we don't have those standards yet. We don't have the transparency yet. And the other hand, which makes it a bit difficult, is that, when you get a DNA test, you get the result and you see that 99.98% or whatever it is the likelihood that that DNA sample stemmed from a specific person. So you know that this is the link between the person and the sample. Everybody knows that this is an indicator, or can be an indicator, to the guilt of a person. That's it. You still have a lot of translation and a lot of judgment to be done after that. I think this is one of the dangers, is that we're all not as educated yet. And some people, ask a language model for an answer and they get it and they think it's true. And that is a big difference to the computer programs we had so far, which were clearly meant to be interpreted, most particularly by expert witnesses, whilst now we have a computer program which appears to doesn't need that interpretation anymore. And I think that is a false assumption, and I'm not sure all of us are there yet, and this is one of the biggest challenges for defense.
I see. So, what kind of risks and perhaps benefits are associated with this new tool for the defense?
Yeah, so this kind of already outline where the risks are going, is that artificial intelligence, as so far, is usually, on most applications, a probability, or so the likelihood of something. It doesn't mean that something happened in a special way. It doesn't mean that it has to be this way. And I mean, we've all heard about the cases in the US where AI was used to generate a written statement by a defense attorney, and it made up jurisprudence. So here, obviously, we have a great danger that whatever the AI presents to us must not necessarily be true. It can hallucinate. The language models have great difficulties, to my knowledge at least, and yet interpreting case files, particularly if you then have hearsay, indirect speech, it finds it hard to attribute what has been said to the right person. And so you can get a lot of gibberish out of that. And so this obviously poses quite the risk, because if you have a procedure with lots and lots of data, and obviously everybody is struggling to find the resources to go through all that data, then it can appear very, very tempting to make use of these AI tools. And then you get an answer which does sound probable, but which isn't necessarily true. So I think this is one of the great dangers that we do have, both by being applied by the defense as by law enforcement. But at the same time, I must say, we're at the start of this development, so I think there's still quite a bit to grow into. And I do hope that we will get these tools to a level where we actually, come on an even footing again with all that mass data. Because before, back in the days, you had your case files, they were paper, and you could read through them. And then they became bigger and bigger because we keep having more and more data to access, to go through. But we, as humans, can't read that mass of data. And so I do really hope that in the future, AI will be the tool that will bring us on an even footing again, so that, it will be able to sift through the masses of data and allow us to work as a good indicator for the case files as to where do we need to look into, where are the interesting points, and where can we just, pass through. So this is what I hope the chances are of this new technology.
To sum up, Miriam, what can the defense do, and perhaps law enforcement too, to prevent the risks you have outlined and benefit from the opportunities offered by AI?
I do believe that there's a way how we can ensure that we benefit from the chances, increase the chances, and minimize the risks. And the simple answer would be to educate ourselves. We need a lot more training on those matters. We need to understand what AI can and cannot do. And my personal view is that at this time and place, AI cannot do more things than it can do. And we need to understand that. We need to be able to understand when somebody tells us that they used AI for a specific case or a specific analysis, whether this is something AI can actually do, or to what extent or in what quality. So we know how to ask the right questions, how to probe it. We need to understand that, as it's also laid out in the AI Act, and how Gabriele said it too, we need human oversight. So using or implementing AI doesn't mean you can just let it go on its own. It means you need to be in charge. You need to understand what is happening. And for that, you obviously need to document it, and you need to share it. So next to the training comes, to me, the big issue of transparency. Because how are others supposed to ask the right question if they don't know what's been going on? And so I think if we respect those issues, we should be, moving in a good direction. And I think that there's a good chance that we will improve how cases are being handled, how we can manage the workload that we all have witnessed with the mass data proceedings, and at the same time safeguard the rights of the defense and the individuals. So I think if we train ourselves, if we keep up the transparency, And to be honest, what I would love to see would be more forums where all practitioners exchange their experiences, because we're talking about an IT project here, basically. And what you just need to do is you need to try and find out and then come back together, exchange experiences, improve it here and there. So this is what we really need, is we need to have forums where lawyers, judges and prosecutors can come together and exchange their experience, so that we make sure it's not a one-sided AI application or usage that is maybe derailing things. And so we just need to get together and improve it for all of us. And then I think we'll see what the future will bring, but I hope it's going to be good, and I think it will be. Thank you.
Thank you, Miriam. It was great having you. Looking ahead, our third episode on AI and criminal justice will hit the topic deep fakes. We will have a conversation with Giulia Kalpokine, Lithuanian lawyer and policy consultant on IP, tech and law, and artificial intelligence. 3 questions for her, and we will know more about deep fakes in criminal justice. Stay with us.